could not read today's newspaper. Let me read few news of today. It is about the Prime Minister's talk with the Chief Minister of India, all the states. Let me see what has been given here. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday urged chief ministers to ensure smooth functioning of supply chains and take strict measures against hoarding and profiteering. The Prime Minister held a virtual meeting with chief ministers to review the preparedness and contingency plans of states in view of the ongoing West Asia conflict. In the meeting, Modi emphasized the government's priorities, maintaining economic and trade stability, ensuring energy security, safeguarding citizens' interests, and strengthening industry and supply chains. He called for constant communication and coordination between the center and the states, along with timely sharing of information and joint decision making to enable swift and well coordinated responses. Amid growing concerns over possible energy supply shortages, this was the first such meeting convened by the Prime Minister with Chief Ministers since the West Asia conflict began on February 28. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and Home Minister Amit Shah were also present during the meeting. The Prime Minister stressed the need for advanced planning in the agriculture sector, particularly in monitoring fertilizer storage and distribution, to ensure farmers do not face difficulties during the upcoming Kharif season, asking states to activate control rooms at the state and district levels and maintain administrative alertness to prevent any disruptions. Modi cautioned against the spread of misinformation and rumors, stating that timely dissemination of accurate and credible information was essential to prevent panic. Advising the chief ministers to be vigilant against online frauds and fake agents, the Prime Minister asked border and coastal states to pay special attention to emerging challenges related to shipping, essential supplies, and maritime operations. The Prime Minister underscored the need to maintain public confidence by assuring the availability of essential commodities. He suggested that states with citizens in West Asia should activate helplines, appoint nodal officers, and set up district level support systems to assist affected families. Modi urged states to accelerate efforts in promoting alternative energy sources such as biofuels, solar energy, the Gobardhan initiative, electric mobility, and expanding piped natural gas connections, reiterating that addressing the challenge is a shared responsibility. The Prime Minister expressed confidence that the nation would successfully overcome the situation by working together as Team India. The CMs expressed confidence that the situation remains stable with availability of petrol, diesel, and LPG, and assured that continuous monitoring mechanisms are in place to ensure uninterrupted supply of essential commodities. Stock market dives amid war uncertainty. Equity investors faced an erosion of rupees 8.86 lakh crore from their wealth on Friday as markets went into tailspin as the West Asia war showed no signs of easing. The BSE Sensex tanked 1690.23 points to settle at 73,583.22. The NSE Nifty dropped 486.85 points to end at 22,819.60. Rupee tanks to fresh all-time low of rupees 94.85. The rupee slumped by a massive 89 paise to close at a historic low of 94.85 against the US dollar on Friday, as concerns of higher crude oil prices weighed heavily on the currency. The rupee had slumped 20 paise to close at a record low of 93.96 against the dollar on Wednesday. 7 killed in Kashmir avalanches. 7 people were killed and 5 others injured after multiple avalanches hit the Srinagar Leh National Highway on Friday, officials said. The avalanches hit the stretch between 0 point and Minimark in the afternoon, leaving several vehicles trapped under the debris, they said. Now it is about LPG crisis. The prevailing uncertainty over liquefied petroleum gas supply has prompted the Forest Department to suspend the auction of firewood to prevent hoarding and as a precaution to meet fuel needs of hostels, residential schools, university canteens, and individual consumers in urgent need. The Forest Department has 39 regular depots and several temporary ones in case of firewood felled far away from regular depots. All material is sold through online auction. In a circular dated March 18, the department directed division level officers to temporarily suspend the auction of firewood and halt any such auction procedure underway in view of a possible demand in the future. While making an exception for domestic buyers, the circular directed officials to keep the future requirements of Anganwadis, hostels, and other such establishments while proceeding with the sale of firewood. The auction of teak and other valued timber will not be affected. This is purely a precautionary measure taken in the best interest of sections that will be affected the most, from Anganwadis to hostels. However, the department is ready to meet the needs of individual buyers, even hotels. It will be sold at the prevailing retail price. Principal Chief Conservator of Forest Meenakshi Negi told to Deccan Herald. Over the last 2 weeks, many hotels and commercial establishments have made arrangements to use firewood for cooking needs, while those without such options have scaled down operations in view of the short supply of the commercial LPG. We are not getting about 33% of our LPG demand. The government has promised to increase it by another 10%, and a meeting in this regard is scheduled on Monday. We have already requested the Chief Secretary to ensure availability of firewood from the Forest Department. Right now, existing stock and scrap wood from carpentry is meeting our demands, said P.C. Rao of the Bruhat Bengaluru Hotels Association. Hoteliers in the city said the price of firewood has slightly reduced after the exorbitant rates of last week. Prior to the attack on Iran, firewood was sold at about rupees 40 per 10 kg. Arun Adiga, managing partner of the iconic Vidyarthi Bhavan, said he had to go purchase firewood as only about 30% of his LPG requirement was met. We need 30 to 35 cylinders per week. I got 10 in the last 1 week. We have managed to keep things running because we adopted several measures, starting from shifting to a ceramic burner that consumes 40% less LPG to conversion of an LPG burner into a firewood burner for making dosas. Also, we have relied on induction stove to cook kharabat, kesaribat and vada, he said. Adiga said at one point he had to pay rupees 40 for 1 kg of firewood in Chamrajpet in the last week. In the last few days, it fell to rupees 30 per kg. Yesterday, it came down to rupees 20 a kg, he added. Each lawmaker to get 2 IPL tickets, D.K. Shivakumar. Lawmakers will get 2 tickets each for the Indian Premier League opener between Royal Challengers Bengaluru and Sunrisers Hyderabad on Saturday, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar said. Shivkumar said this after holding talks with Karnataka State Cricket Association President Venkatesh Prasad, who also met Chief Minister Siddaramaiah separately on Friday. For the first match, they will get 2 tickets each. For the remaining matches, we will discuss later, Shivkumar said. This came a day after Speaker U.T. Khadar directed the government to ensure that lawmakers get 4 tickets to watch cricket matches at the Chinnaswamy Stadium after members across parties slammed the KSEA in the assembly for disrespecting elected representatives. The speaker had sought 4 tickets, but all tickets have been sold. There is no place and there are so many members. Time is short. For now, I have asked them to give 2 tickets per lawmaker and they have agreed. I have spoken to RCB too, Shivkumar said. 4 tickets cannot be given. Every MLA, MP and minister used to get 1 ticket each. Now they will get 2 tickets, he added. State introduces grading for third language in SSLC. The state government on Friday announced that from the current academic year, SSLC students will not be awarded marks for the third language subjects like Hindi, Urdu, Arabic and others. Instead, they will receive grades such as A, B, C and D for these languages. Announcing the decision, School Education and Literacy Minister Madhu Bangarappa said, exam will be conducted for the third language but marks won't be awarded, adding marks secured in this third language will not be considered while calculating the overall percentage. The percentage will be calculated for 25 instead of the existing 625. The decision will be applicable to the students who are appearing for the SSLC exams. The third language exam will be held on March 31st. The decision was taken based on demands by pro-Kannada organizations that urged the government to ensure that Hindi is not imposed on students, considering the number of students failing in SSLC exams because of Hindi, added the minister. According to the Education Department, though there are other subjects like Tamil, Telugu, Urdu and Arabic, a majority of students opt for Hindi as a third language. The Education Minister further said that there will be no changes in the teaching methodology. The third language will not be ignored. The decision, however, will reduce exam stress on students, he added. An official order on shifting to the grading system of the third languages will be issued by March 31, the minister said. Data from the Karnataka School Examination and Assessment Board reveals that in 2025, as many as 1.64 lakh students failed in the third language, and out of that, 1.48 lakh had opted for Hindi. The minister stated that several states have already introduced a grading system and some have also shifted to a two-language policy. I will not talk about the two-language policy here, he said. Kannada Development Authority Chairperson Purushottam Bilimale welcomed the move and said, this decision will not just reduce the burden on students, but it will also promote the growth of Kannada. A war reporter's diary, let me see what it is. A journalist who covered the Afghanistan conflict shares an account of her time in the troubled country. RCB face SRH in season opener. Nearly 10 months after their most memorable moment turned into a nightmare in less than 24 hours following the death of 11 fans in a stampede during their maiden IPL victory celebrations on June 4, Royal Challengers Bengaluru returned to their fortress M. Chinnaswamy Stadium to kick off the 19th edition against Sunrisers Hyderabad in what promises to be a blockbuster southern hereby. ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಪೆಟ್ಟಾಕೋರಿ ನಾಲ್ಕು ಐ ಸ್ಪೋಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಅಂತಿಲ್ಲ ಈ ಮಕ್ಕಳದ್ದಾಯ್ತಾ, ಒಂದು ಶಾಲೆ ರಜೆ ಸಿಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಅಂತಿಲ್ಲ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ ಇಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು ನಾವು? ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ, ಇವಾಗಿನ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ನೀನು? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾ ಬಂದು ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. IPL tickets. BYV Surya disagree with Ashoka, slam VIP culture. A day after leader of the opposition are Ashoka and other MLAs sought IPL match tickets, BJP state president BY Vijayendra and Bangalore South MP LS Tejasvi Surya took a different view and called out the VIP culture. Ashoka, Congress MLA Vijayanand Kashapanavar and BJP MLA Abhay Patil had sought tickets for MLAs, which was also supported by Speaker UT Khadar. Speaking to reporters about this, Vijayendra said, "It is definitely not a good development if an MLA or a people's representative is seen as a VIP or different from common people. I am not in favor of this." The BJP state president added that he personally disagreed with the opinion of ruling and opposition party MLAs who had sought tickets. Last year, due to the ruling party's foolishness, 11 innocent people lost their lives. People of the state and the country haven't forgotten it. In such a situation, I don't understand why such statements were needed. Taking to X, formerly Twitter, Surya echoed a similar sentiment. Had the Karnataka MLA spent time in the Vidhan Sabha discussing safety and security preparedness for IPL fans, it would have upheld the dignity of the house. Instead, we saw MLAs pleading and even threatening for free tickets for themselves and their families. This is just ಯಾಕೆ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಅವನು ಕದ್ದು ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ. It would have upheld the dignity of the house. Instead, we saw MLAs pleading and even threatening for free tickets for themselves in their families. It exposes a deeper problem. A mindset that sees public office as entitlement. I don't need it. Responding to Surya's opinion, Ashoka said, that is his personal opinion. The state government has given them land. The monthly rent is rupees 1,600. The MLAs won't go. I haven't gone myself. I give the tickets I get to the public and our workers. People ask us for tickets and people from all parties sought tickets. So that's what they asked. Chief Secretary reviews safety measures ahead of inaugural IPL match. As IPL 2026 is set to begin with its inaugural match on Saturday at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in the city, Chief Secretary Shalini Rajneesh held a meeting with senior officials and gave them safety instructions. The Karnataka State Cricket Association Board of Directors, Office Bearers, Royal Challengers Bengaluru Office Bearers, City Police Commissioner Seemant Kumar Singh, GBA Commissioner M. Maheshwar Rao, BMRCL MD J. Ravi Shankar, and heads of various departments concerned took part in the meeting. The Chief Secretary was briefed about the security arrangements made inside and around the stadium for the safety of cricket lovers. Changes made in the city's traffic system, parking arrangements, drinking water inside the stadium, and other essential things. She obtained information from the officials about the density of passengers falling on the metro running schedule, the additional security provided at the metro stations and safety, and gave many instructions to the careful not to allow even a minor unpleasant incident, as per an official statement. She instructed the officials and all those concerned authorities to strictly follow the conditions and precautionary measures imposed by the government for organizing the tournament. She gave instructions that the officials concerned and organization should be on high alert, and also she gave instructions that the relevant information should be exchanged with the above officials regularly, the statement said. It is the article about their wars, our lessons. Let's read it. No two wars are similar, and drawing comparisons can be facile. However, some inferences can be drawn from the Ukraine Russia war and the Iran versus Israel US conflict. In Ukraine, the war of maneuver have been reduced to a war of attrition. In Iran, while the initial airstrikes were successful, they have not translated into a decisive victory. The war has expanded into other benign economies and geographies. The question then is how India should deduce the changes in warfare to recalibrate its military strategy and develop useful military capacity. New contexts in warfare. In this age of disruptive warfare, warfighting is no longer about military metrics and technological superiority, but how superior tactics can compensate for lack of capacity, how disruptive methods can stall a stronger adversary, how no single military service can be decisive in battle, how innovation brings advantage on the battlefield, how resilience underpins military power, and how faulty assumptions can deny victory to a stronger adversary in war. Therefore, caution must be exercised when debates on warfare become overly technology centric. A few aspects stand out. First, there are limits to the use of air power. While air strikes can cause significant damage, they cannot deliver military victory. In Ukraine, the use of air power has been rather muted. In Iran, the US strikes were possible only due to the lack of any meaningful air defense. In the May 2025 conflict, the Indian Air Force was inhibited from effectively using its assets to constrain Pakistan. Clearly, air superiority as a fundamental tenet of air power is under stress. Where air superiority is achieved, the ground forces gain the freedom for maneuver. When absent, the character of war changes dramatically. Second, the defense of the airspace is not a reassuring concept. Flooding the skies with the drones is the new tactic. Some estimates suggest that for every dollar spent on drones, at least 10 times as much is spent to shoot them down. Making low cost interceptors based on laser and microwave technology a reusable capability could be the next big thing. Besides, radars have been foundational into air defense. Long range, high value radars have been the choice for long, but the drone war has spurred a demand for shorter range radars. as standard systems struggle to detect small, low flying drones, pushing efforts to develop cheaper last mile solutions. Third, the importance of mechanized warfare is coming under intense debate, with unmanned aerial systems and munitions inhibiting the use of tanks and ICVs. Analysts are drawing divergent conclusions. In Ukraine, these platforms have rarely produced any breakthroughs. Would that make these platforms obsolete or dependent on a new set of operational conditions that could help exploit this force? Smaller modular units could be one way of rethinking this force. In India's context, the mechanized forces still matter to secure our contested borders or make quick gains on a static battlefield. An article: Humans poisoned arrows 60,000 years ago. Over 60,000 years ago, African hunters knew how to extract poison from a plant and lace their arrows with it for an efficient kill, says a new study that has unearthed the oldest evidence of human made poisoned arrows. The discovery challenges the existing theory on the use of poison arrows originating in Egypt around 4000 years ago. Researchers from South Africa and Sweden have found the oldest traces of arrow poison on 60,000-year-old quartz arrowheads found in Umlahasana rock shelter in KwaZulu Natal. The killer chemicals come from a tropical bulbous flowering plant, giftball, a poisonous species still used by traditional hunters in the region. This is the oldest direct evidence that humans used arrow poison. It shows that our ancestors in southern Africa not only invented the bow and arrow much earlier than previously thought, but also understood how to use nature's chemistry to increase hunting efficiency, says corresponding author Marlies Lombard from the Palaco Research Institute at the University of Johannesburg. Chemical analysis revealed the presence of bufenadrine and epibufenethine, two alkaloids found in the glyphball plant, long known among local hunters for its highly toxic properties. At Stockholm University, at, at Stockholm University, the researchers found traces of these plant toxins in 5 out of 10 samples they analyzed. The same alkaloids were also spotted on bone arrowheads collected by Swedish travelers in the region 250 years ago, indicating the poison's use over many millennia in southern Africa. Finding these specific alkaloids on 5 out of the 10 quad arrow tips studied argues scientists cannot be coincidental because of the evidence that around 77,000 years ago people from the same area were aware of insecticidal and larvicidal properties of aromatic leaves used for bedding. The toxic chemicals in the bulb remain stable for a long time. They don't decompose easily, even in wet environments, and interact well with mineral surfaces like stone arrow tips. That's probably why they survived for 60,000 years at Umlat Huzwana. By carefully studying the chemical structure of the substances, we were able to determine that these particular substances are stable enough to survive this long in the ground, says Sven Isaksson at Stockholm University. It's also fascinating that people had such a deep and long standing understanding the use of such plants. Using arrow poison requires planning, patience, and an understanding of cause and effect. It is a clear sign of advanced thinking in early humans, says Andres Hogberg at the Department of Cultural Sciences, Linnaeus University. The study has appeared in a recent issue of Science Advances. India has adequate fertilizer reserves. Nadda in Lok Sabha. Chemicals and Fertilizers Minister J.P. Nadda on Friday informed Lok Sabha that India has adequate reserves to provide fertilizers to farmers for the upcoming Kharif season and there is no need to panic. The government is taking measures to ensure availability amid the ongoing West Asia war, Nadda said, adding that he spoke to state agriculture ministers on Thursday and informed them about the availability of fertilizers. The members expressed concern over the fertilizer stock due to the impact of the West Asia war on shipping lines and the supply of raw material. Nadda said the government is looking for diversification, new markets, newer areas from where we will get raw materials also for fertilizers. We have framed up our strategy to ensure fertilizer availability. In a related issue, Minister of State for Fertilizers Anupriya Patel said in a written reply to the Lok Sabha that India produced 24.23 lakh tons of fertilizer, including urea and DAP, in the first 3 weeks of March, notwithstanding the gas supply crunch amid the West Asia crisis, of which urea production was 13.55 lakh tons, while D-ammonia phosphate, DAP, NPK, and single superphosphate were 7.62 lakh tons. Very good. करता रहता हूँ मैं बस तेरी बातें अक्सर याद आती है तेरे मुलाकातें मेरा दिल को कहना Valencia. Overtures Nepal's youngest PM. China launches 2 investigations into trade practices. Sri Lanka's ex-minister fined for purchasing substandard drugs. Epstein survivors sue US government over revealed identities. US moves to curb offshore call centers. China launches 2 investigations into US trade practices. Iran-linked hackers breach FBI director's personal email. Sri Lanka's ex-minister fined for purchasing substandard drugs. Valencia takes oath as Nepal's youngest PM at 35. New government to implement probe report on Gen Z protest. Bonda ilinda. About movie review. Let me read movie reviews. Project Hail Mary, English movie. Director Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, cast Ryan Gosling, Sandra Hitler, James Ortiz. Project Hail Mary can be viewed as that rare star which visits once every few decades. But unlike the ones that burn bright and vanish, this one sticks around quietly glowing long after. The movie revolves around the possibility of the sun being eaten by a space microorganism, the astrophage. Ryan Gosling stars as the Ryland Grace, a school teacher who unwittingly finds himself as the foremost expert on a global task, forced to save Earth from an impending ice age. Finding himself waking up from a coma on a spaceship, Grace struggles to figure out who is he and what he is doing light years away from Earth. As he begins to understand what's happening, he finds himself at the center of the galaxy, attempting to decipher why the astrophage is unable to prey on Tau Geti, a star in the own right. Mardhani 3, new movie. Director Abhiraj Minwala, cast Rani Mukherjee, Janki Bodiwala, Mallika Prasad, Rajesh Kashyap. By the third installment of Mardhani, Rani Mukherjee is not just a super cop, she's practically the Avengers, the Terminator, and Sherlock Holmes rolled into one. The gang busting, patriarchy smashing policewoman dominates every frame, leading her team with military precision into the layers of every mafia under the sun. She is kind who could solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded while chasing down a crime lord. Her wit never wavers and her reflexes are faster than light. So, what is ACP Shivani Shivaji Roy up to this time? Saving women, of course. Once again, the track revolves around child trafficking, with a begging mafia led by Amma driving Rani's over the top kick ass show. Okay, this is enough, I think. And thank you for watching. Please comment. Bye bye.